Still trying. I'm still trying.
I watched you go from a window down below. In jest, you'd say it's the last time you'd walk away. Why does anybody ever go? I don't know. Why couldn't I just raise my voice to say, don't go, please stay for at least one more day.
Hello and welcome. Woo! Wow. Ooh, woo! Airplane flying, limousine riding, wheeling dealing. Dirtiest player in the game. This is The Art of Giving Up, and I'm your host, Steven. This is your podcast for giving up bad days, bad ways, unfortunate habits, bad friends, bad relationships. Bad. And this week, I'm going to hit the little solo pod going, and we're going to talk about my worst habit. I know that we've spoken before, you and I, about how much I suck. Yeah, I suck. Quite a lot. I have a lot of bad habits and bad things that I like to do and that I have done. And one of the ones that really hindered me in life is allowing my anxiety to kind of run me and to put barriers between me and the people that I care about. I know that I'm not the only person with anxiety, and I know that we're all allowed to express ourselves and to have our own space if we need. But when it comes to forming relationships, and when it comes to maintaining relationships, sometimes you kind of have to get out of your own head a little. And one of the things that I've done like 80,000 times is to not only let my anxieties, hinder my relationships, not only allow them to interfere, but I've allowed myself to allow my anxiety to not only push away people, but to keep me from enjoying hobbies, to keep me from continuing relationships, keep me from progressing at school and at work. And it's really my worst habit. And you might think to yourself, well, we can't really control our anxiety. We really can't do anything about it. Sometimes it comes and it goes, and it can hurt, and it can feel like there's this thing in your chest. It's hard. Just like how sometimes when I sit in front of this mic, it's hard. It's difficult for me to speak. It's difficult for me to breathe. Sometimes it's hard. But progression, success, requires effort. And I'm not saying that I'm particularly weak because I have anxiety, or I'm not saying that people who suffer from anxieties are less than anyone. But there's definitely a difference between having anxieties and having difficulties and just giving up and just allowing life to happen to you. And that's definitely something that I've done. I look directly at the relationships that I have with people that I care about. Not only how they think about me, or how much they care about me, or how negative our relationships. Not just that, just I look at just like the quality of our friendships, the quality of my romantic relationships, the quality of my work relationships, and my inability to maintain friendships. And it's not because I can't. I can be dynamic and fun and committed and dedicated and fair, and I can be a good friend. I could be a good boyfriend, lover. I could be a dedicated and, good employee. But my anxiety is kind of a crutch for me. And it's hard, because when you're presented with a challenge, big or small, when a challenge is set in front of you and you think to yourself, well, can I do it? Especially for people with a lot of anxiety, you're beset by all those negative, those intrusive thoughts like, oh, I can't do this, I'm a failure, and it happens. But for me, I kind of lean against my anxiety as a crutch. I treat my anxiety like it's the reason for everything that's around me, that surrounds me. Before I do anything, before I make money, before I go out, before I do anything, no matter how good I feel, when I'm presented with a challenge, I look back at my anxiety and I lean into it, and I kind of use it because I'm afraid of succeeding. I don't know. And it's definitely a terrible habit. It's terrible to look at your relationships and to realize that the people that you care about, the people that you love the most, the people that matter to you the most are the most distant from you. That the things that you want to do are out of your grasp, and that the opportunities that you've had have been spoiled by you. And maybe it's not fair to myself to this anxiety is real. But when I sit down in front of my computer and I think about how I can improve this, my first thought is not how anxious I feel, but how anxious I believe I'm going to be, and I kind of get it in my head. I'm really pushing myself back, and I'm really limiting and hindering myself. Ow. Jeez, that hurt. Ooh, now you guys know that not only am I awesome, I am really good at hitting my arm against this mic stand. Jeez. But now, going forward, again, I'm going to try to not overcome my anxiety, but to exist with it and not allow it to overtake everything that is me. My worst habit is giving up on myself before I begin. And I don't want to do that anymore. But I know that I'm afraid. I know I'm afraid that if I fail, and I have no excuses, I don't know what I'll do. It's really convenient for me to have anxiety and depression and loss as a crutch. It's really convenient for me for when people ask why didn't you do this? Why don't you do that? For me to go, I'm afraid and I'm scared and I can't. It's easy for me to do that. And if you're listening to this and you have anxiety, you're thinking to yourself, well, he's saying that you can just cast off your anxiety. And I'm not even humoring that. The reality of my life is that for how great my anxiety is, for how great my depression is and my loneliness, for how great the chemical imbalance in my brain is, I am also just lazy. And it's okay to admit this. It's okay to understand this and recognize this. And it doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make me evil or anything, because I understand and I recognize that I'm, in addition to the things that are wrong with me, that as a person, there are things that are wrong with me, and that there are challenges that are not chemical that are in me that I need to overcome. And we can do this, And I see a lot of my friends who go through the same thing. They suffer and they have all these things, and they have physical ailments and issues and emotional issues. But sometimes we just look at that as the reason why, and we don't really work on ourselves. And I know people, it seems like you can't work on yourself, like you can't motivate and get under you, get things going, but we can. It's harder for us, yes. It's more difficult for us, yes. But we can. We can make it happen. My worst habit has been not taking care of me when I should. My worst habit has been lying to myself and telling myself that I can't when I can. Maybe it's not meant to be easy. Maybe it's meant to be difficult. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I'm not going to let anxiety just rule me anymore. I know that it's hard. And sometimes when we're beset and besieged on all sides by the things in us, that we forget that we exist despite these limitations. So I want to thank you for listening to me rant. I want to thank you for giving me this chance and letting me share what I know is wrong with me. I want to thank you for helping me cope with my worst habits and my worst insecurities and my anxieties. Without you, I don't know what I would do. Thank you guys for all of your support. Remember, if you want to participate, come on, you know it already. Gmail, Art of Giving Up Podcast. Facebook, The Art of Giving Up. Twitter, DA, Art of Giving Up. What else? Instagram, art of giving up. I'm here for you. Just as you've been here for me. Because we're living in this life together. It's not easy. But there's very little that we can do while we're alone. We're meant to do this together. So as always, with everything in me, as always, with every ounce of energy and passion and love that I have in this planet, I want you to know that I'm here for you, that I support you, and that we're all striving and working towards above all else, one thing: peace.
Save me but you. It's strange what desire will make foolish people do.